I don't think it should be treated as any secret that Nintendo does rely on cross-promotion to spread awareness for their game series. This is something that they have been vocal about during their investors meetings. You look at what Nintendo has done for, say, example, the Pikmin series, where we saw Pikmin in the Nintendo Universal Park. They also put out Pikmin Bloom, then they put out Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and this all amounted to Pikmin 4 becoming the best-selling Pikmin game of all time. Or then you look at the improved sales of the Pokemon series shortly after release of Pokemon Go with Pokemon Sun and Moon, or even more recently with a number of Mario games seeing a substantial increase in sales after the release of the Super Mario Bros. Movie. This is something that Nintendo has been doing, and these LEGO collaborations I think are very much a part of it. So when it was announced that there is going to be this LEGO crossover, not with just a brand of Mario as they've been doing over the last few years, but specifically with Mario Kart, and it's coming out in 2025, it definitely got me thinking that Nintendo's trying to build up to something here. And what is that something? Finally, the next big Mario Kart. Something we've been waiting a very long time for, and I would like to talk more about that today. Welcome everyone, this is Andre's Restart, and today we are talking about the next big Mario Kart. The thumbnail and title may say Mario Kart 9, it may be Mario Kart 10, I'm not really sure how we should consider it. They did include Mario Kart Tour as a part of the significant tracks in the series with the Booster Course Pass, so perhaps you may want to treat Mario Kart Tour as a mainline game, and if that's the case, it's a mainline game that came out after Mario Kart 8, so what comes next? Well, that wouldn't be 9. But this has been something that's been hotly debated for a while already. Whatever it's going to be called, the next Mario Kart, it's gonna happen. And I think it's gonna happen next year. And we may see it this year, which is going to be really exciting. And so I want to dive deeper into this Mario Kart game because I think it's going to be a very, very big deal. Now, one assumption that I think we should be making is that this is going to be an exclusive new title released for the sequel to the Nintendo Switch. What we've been calling the Nintendo Switch 2, there's been this recent potential leak that it might be called the Nintendo Attach. That is just a possibility, so until further notice, I will still be calling the next generation console the Switch 2. But with all the reports and everything that's been going on, it's looking like Switch 2 will at least be announced this year, and perhaps coming out early next year. And with that first release year of Switch 2 around the corner, you gotta think at some point during those first 12 months, we are going to see the release of the next brand new Mario Kart. We are certainly overdue. We haven't gotten a brand new ground up mainline Mario Kart game for a traditional Nintendo platform since 2014 with Mario Kart 8 on the Nintendo Wii U. Now, Mario Kart 8 was repackaged and enhanced as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which came out April 2017, the second month for Nintendo Switch, and this version of Mario Kart 8 went on to becoming the second best-selling single Nintendo title of all time. It is above 60 million copies sold worldwide, and is second only to Wii Sports that released for Nintendo Wii, and if you don't remember, Wii Sports was packaged with almost every single Nintendo Wii. And that's why Wii Sports is the best-selling Nintendo game of all time, because it was sold alongside a console. Mario Kart 8 has seen the benefits of being bundled with a lot of Nintendo Switches, but it has never been the main pack-in for the traditional Nintendo Switch set. So these numbers are extraordinary, especially when you factor in that Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U was already extraordinary and the best-selling game then. Mario Kart is huge, and Mario Kart 8 is the hugest Mario Kart. But it's also the most universally appraised Mario Kart as well. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has a 92 on Metacritic, and there's no prior Mario Kart, to my recollection, that's had as high of reviews across the board. The overall point I'm making here is that Mario Kart 8 is definitely a big deal. And you would have thought that Nintendo might have tried to follow this up fairly quick, because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe wasn't even a brand new title. As we said earlier, it was built off of Mario Kart 8, and it came out 3 years after the original release. And what I find interesting about this is that when we take a look at the history of Mario Kart releases, the longest gap we've ever seen was 5 years between Mario Kart 64 and Mario Kart Super Circuit. But you see, back then, Nintendo was making Mario Karts for each of their main platforms, and they were working on 2 different platforms at a time, handheld and home console. But now, we just have the Switch. Nintendo's been focused on one singular platform, and so it's been handled a little bit differently. Because after 2017, we did see the release for Mario Kart Tour in 2019, and then a year later, we saw somewhat of a spin-off in Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, a Toys to Life game, where you could control an actual RC Mario Kart, but play it from your Nintendo Switch. And it had augmented reality that made it even more interesting. So Nintendo's had some interesting alternative entries to Mario Kart that aren't the typical mainline Mario Kart release for a Nintendo platform. But even if you count these as mainline releases, including Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, come 2025, we will be looking at another 5-year gap. Now, of course, we just had the Booster Course Pass ending last year, so it's not like Nintendo hasn't done things with Mario Kart to keep it relevant throughout the Switch generation. But I do think it is about time. Nintendo EPD Group 9 has been responsible for the Mario Kart series, the Nintendog series, and even ARMS. And recently they did work on Mario Kart Tour. But Mario Kart Tour was co-developed, it wasn't just by the Nintendo EPD Group. And so their last full-on dedicated effort, where they were solely focusing on a major game, was ARMS, and that came out in 2017. And so here we are in 2024, yes, they've worked on some things, but you have to think that they must have had something going all this time that's beyond some of these smaller little efforts. And so it makes sense to think that Mario Kart is likely going to be part of this launch window for Switch 2. Nintendo's probably going to want to get out the next big Mario Kart really early on. With Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, technically an enhanced port or remaster of a game that came out just a few years prior, that doing so well on Switch, you gotta think that something new on Switch 2 could have even more potential. Let's remind ourselves that Mario Kart 8 was made for the Wii U, a console that came out in 2012. We're now in 2024, and we're talking about hardware that hasn't even come out yet for some time in 2025. The technology jump here is going to be massive. The next Mario Kart is likely going to really impress us, and with just how successful Mario Kart has become, you gotta think Nintendo is definitely gonna be very ambitious with this one. If you thought they were ambitious with Mario Kart 8, which, by the way, as I said earlier, is the most universally praised and critically acclaimed Mario Kart to date, I'm thinking they're gonna go even further beyond here and do something even better. This next Mario Kart is going to be a huge, ginormous deal. Some people even think that this could be the launch day title for Switch 2. I can't think of a time where Nintendo decided to use Mario Kart as the day one launch title. Typically you use something kind of like a 3D Mario or a 3D Zelda game to be that first day one title, but a new Mario Kart would probably be better than some other strange launch day games we've seen from Nintendo, like Steel Diver, for example. And when we think about these recent reports, how Switch 2 was supposed to come out in 2024, and we had heard that 3D Mario would be the launch title, but now that things have been pushed back to at least early 2025, and some of the reasoning behind this supposedly having to do with getting the lineup right for Switch 2 when it does launch, it does get me wondering if there's going to be some shifts and move-arounds for their big games. It's been discussed by these reports that Nintendo's saving a lot of their big games for that launch year of Switch 2. And so I gotta think that Mario Kart's part of it, 3D Mario's part of it, but I'm also wondering if maybe that 3D Mario game that we've heard about will be saved for the holiday next year. Something that I kind of felt was a little odd was that with all the Mario stuff we've been getting recently, especially Mario Wonder, that it might be a little strange to follow up with another mainline Mario adventure just a year later, if not even sooner. Now that still may happen, and it's not really that big of a deal. We're talking about 3D Mario, and 3D Mario, we've waited quite a bit of a while for that one as well. So I would say 2D Mario or any spin-off shouldn't really get in the way of that, but it's just something that's crossed my mind. And I wouldn't be upset if Mario Kart ended up coming out before 3D Mario. Like if they save 3D Mario for holiday 2025, and this new Mario Kart game is the launch title, or it comes out within the launch window within those first 2 or 3 months, I'd be okay with that, especially if there are other titles to back up this new Mario Kart game. And more people would probably actually prefer this Mario Kart game. Regardless, I don't necessarily need Mario Kart immediately, because I'm still enjoying Mario Kart 8 alongside the Booster Course Pass, but I'm definitely thinking a lot about the potential for this Mario Kart game, what they could do here. I imagine they're going to go bigger. I imagine the tracks will be more vast. I imagine they're definitely going to take advantage of the technology here and do some pretty cool, exciting things. Maybe there'll be warping shortcuts. Maybe there'll be even more karts on the track. Maybe there'll just simply be more branching paths, and we're talking more about an open race where there's a little bit more to figure out. There's certainly a lot they could do to advance the series, and it all has me very excited. I think the next Mario Kart is going to be a very big deal, and if Nintendo is indeed going to be announcing Switch 2 later this year, I have to think the next big Mario Kart is going to be a key piece to the marketing of this console. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is Andres Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.